Thank you everyone for joining us for this week's Thursday 30 with Keene from KAZ Type. Keene is going to tell us about inclusive touch typing software in CEN settings. If you have any questions for Keene, he'd like it if you just ask them as we go. You can either just type it into the chat or you can unmute yourself. Anyway, over to you, Keene. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Annabelle, and thank you to all the CENMAC team for having us here. It's absolutely wonderful trying to support the CENMAC team. So I'm Keene, and obviously you may or may not have heard about our touch typing software, which is called KAZ. And I'm going to give you a little rundown on the software. And because obviously we're limited to 30 minutes, I'm going to predominantly keep it to the screen slide presentation, but I will go live onto a course to show you how the preference screening stuff works. But please, everyone, do request via Annabelle or myself directly for a free course, and we'll arrange that for you so you can actually play with it yourself and see how it actually works. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go into the screen slide presentation. And hopefully you should be able to see this. And Annabelle, please interrupt me if for any reason we lose the screen slide or whatever, because I can't actually see the background screen.
Yes, we'll do. We can see it perfectly at the moment.
Okay. Fantastic. Okay, so basically our inclusive touch typing software covers all age ranges. So we're looking really from 6-7-year-old up to adults. And it works in all settings. It's completely inclusive in that it caters for a variety of challenges, which I shall go through shortly. As well as mainstream, it caters for neurodivergent, disabled, hard of hearing, visually impaired, and as well as more recently, we've actually incorporated a blind edition, for which we actually won a fantastic award for the beginning of last year. So why KAZ? I'm going to touch on a few little issues and why the importance of touch typing before I actually go into the course. So we developed the course with advice and guidance from the Dyslexia Research Trust. You'll know them by the yellow filters and the blue filters, which sometimes you see children using. So all their research has gone into the course. And more recently, we were actually approached by the Thomas Pocklington Trust, who are a charity for the blind and visually impaired, to see if we could do anything to further enhance our course to cater for visually impaired, which is what we did. And just that you're aware, the KAZ course is very unique in its teaching method in that we use something called brain balance. So we're teaching simultaneously and symmetrically both sides. And this is something which is particularly beneficial for learners with SEND who tend to struggle with potentially traditional teaching methods. And it's known to be really effective with children on the autistic scale or children who do suffer with dyslexia. So it's a fully multi-sensory approach, which is structured and focused, and you'll see the main learning modules are focused around the Pomodoro technique, where we focus, rest, and this is actually why the course actually works so well. So preparation really is key. So learning this skill is really so important for all individuals, and especially for those with SEND, because what we're doing is, teaching them and getting them ready for the workplace and obviously for exams, which are starting to go online over the course of this year. So to explain the reason for touch typing, when your learners are typing with just 2 fingers, they're actually using the conscious part of the mind. So they're actually thinking and then they're working. So this can cause overload, it can cause anxiety, but obviously naturally it stops someone from being fully productive. An analogy for this would be, for example, learning to drive a car. To start with, you're looking at your gears, etc. But after a few lessons, you can change gears and drive and talk to your passengers all at the same time. So what we're trying to do with touch typing is exactly the same in that we're going to move the skill from the conscious to the subconscious, which then frees the conscious mind to concentrate on planning, composing, processing, editing, etc. And what this does is that a byproduct is that it increases productivity in workflow. And if you think about it, it's really quite common sense. As you learn a skill, it just becomes automatized. So why touch typing is so important for learners with SEN? So there are a few reasons here. One which will probably stick out in most of your minds. Naturally, it's going to level the playing field amongst the neurotypical peers, but also it instills a natural confidence, increases productivity and efficiency, and the key one, which a lot of assessors and teachers come to us with, is that it actually reduces anxiety, because when a student is facing a computer, it's a screen. They're not actually, they can't see emotion, they can't see the usual problems which they have potentially with face-to-face conversation. And obviously, lastly, I just touched about the use on within exams. And most importantly, touch typing is also something which can be an additive for using in other assistive technology, be it mind mapping software, even things like, for example, writing emails or writing documents, etc. If you can touch type, it makes so much of this so much easier. So what sort of differences impact the writing process? Well, the majority of these, obviously dyslexia, ADHD, I've touched on, naturally visual impairment and hearing impairment. And Ms. Erlin, if you've been diagnosed, then obviously your students will be given an RGB number. So the way the KAZ course is designed is that it can, you can input those RGB numbers directly into the course. What sort of challenges are we catering for? Now, do bear in mind, we've worked with assessors and teachers over the last 7 years. It's actually a little bit longer, the last 9 years, to actually make sure that the course really does cater for individuals with processing, spelling and speech difficulties, students who have brain fog, poor working memory, slow work rate, naturally poor motor skills, and various other challenges which can actually be seen on the screen. KAZ was, prior to these extra changes, which were done within the last 5 to 7 years, tried, tested and proven by the Open University, and they were so impressed on it that they actually wrote a white paper on its effectiveness. So that white paper is actually on our website. It's there in full for everyone to see. And they were so impressed with KAZ, this is going back over 14, 15 years ago, they actually made sure it was available to all the 100,000 plus students for over 14 odd years. So we've got their white paper to confirm that it really does work. So every course, just so that you're aware, opens up with our specialized preference screen. And what we're doing is we're actually tailoring the course to each individual student. Now, this preference screen was specially developed with the Dyslexia Research Trust and then further enhanced with working with the Thomas Pockling Trust. And I'm actually going to switch screens now. I'm actually going to go live onto a course and actually show you how the preference screen works. So in effect, what we need to do is we need to make sure that your learner can actually read this text here comfortably. So, 70% of learners, 70 to 80% potentially, will be able to read this screen correctly, but 20 to 30% won't. And, we've actually integrated this into every single course of ours. And the reason is purely simply, within, I think it was 3 months of launching this edition, because we used to have 2 editions, a mainstream and a SEN edition. We had probably 130 plus emails from teachers saying we never realized that it had visual disturbances, or couldn't see the screen colors or needed filters. And every child gets diagnosed or even missed at very much different stages of their academic life. So something like this we felt was so important, we just wanted to put in everywhere so that everyone was catered for. So basically, your learner will just have to select through these various preferences. So there's a specific frequency of blue, which stabilizes letter movement. The yellow minimizes blurring. All the others simply minimize white screen glare. But we do have a customized feature. So if your learner has been diagnosed, for example, with Ms. Erlin, and they begin their RGB numbers, simply they key it into here, and the whole course will set to those default settings. The individuals can additionally change their font color as well, and we've got a number of different typefaces The bottom 3 have been specifically licensed for the course: Lexi Readable, Open Dyslexic, and Arabis. Arabis is a new typeface which has been really taking the schools by storm. It's been being recommended across a variety of different challenges. So we incorporated that in only last year. And we got a selection. We've only got 2 font sizes, minimum 18 and 22 point. And the reason we don't need to actually increase more than that is because whatever size screen you're working on, the course can blow up even to a great big whiteboard, 100 inch, for example, without any loss of quality. Further to the Dyslexia Research Trust findings, you know, we have an online keyboard which you can change. So students, some will prefer a white and a black. Others will, whatever filter color is chosen, you'll get black on that filter. So that is our now neurodivergent course. However, just that you're aware, we have in the last year and a half launched our visually impaired course. And to access that course, which is a completely different course to the one which I've just highlighted, simply click on the VI mode. It immediately turns it into dark mode, and you know, the learner can still change their preferences. You know, some will use a white background. These are for the partially sighted, but obviously if you're using this with blind learners, then simply they will click begin course. Now, just so that you're aware, this course is very different to our neurodivergent course in that obviously it works with JAWS, it works with various free screen readers, NVIDIA, etc. Works with all Google captioning software, Dolphin Supernova, all magnifying software. So it really has gone through the works in making sure that it's compatible. But it uses the same teaching method, but it's different in its presentation because obviously from a blind learner's point of view, there need to be a lot more audible settings in there. We need to have a lot more speech to text. So we've actually licensed text to speech for the course, so it reads back to learners, so it gives a lot more prompting, which isn't necessarily the case or suitable for neurodivergent students. So we've kept that separate until we get a lot more research on it before we integrate the two. But for the moment, I'll just click on default setting. And then simply all the learner will do is then click begin course, and whatever preferences you've selected will be then defaulted throughout the whole course. So I'm going to come off that now and go back onto the screen presentation. So that is basically setting your preferences up for the course. There is one more screen which you need to set, and that is a keyboard screen. Just that you're aware, we sell into the US and obviously for international keyboards. So you just select either your UK, in our case it'll be UK settings as opposed to international. So this is the main menu, and literally all you need to do is to follow each module in order, working from the top, working all the way through to the bottom. Now, it's important to note that it is narrated throughout. It's a tutorial in itself, so there is minimal teacher intervention needed. And you know, all modules are important. The first module literally takes 5 minutes, if that, but it also incorporates a very important module on posture of the computer and also notifying the learner about RSI. And this is something which is really important because it was actually introduced by, we have an off-call qualification, and prior to that we worked with City and Guilds, and they insisted that we not only teach about touch typing but also about posture of the keyboard. Now, within all schools, there are full lesson plans, so which is all broken down into week by week or sessions. So teachers, all this information is all within your admin panel, as well as you can see all results for students throughout the whole course. So that is the basic main menu. If I just come into here, sorry, yep. So that's explaining about flying start. It literally just takes 5 minutes, and that's all we need to do. The second module is the basics, and that's really, really key because what it does is it teaches the finger position. Each of these modules takes literally 15 to 20 minutes. That's all. And it's amazing. And we started on If Mic Jive, and the reason we started If Mic Jive is because it only works with the first 2 fingers and the thumbs of both hands. Now it works, but simultaneously and symmetrically, which is why it works so well. And if you think about it, first two fingers and thumbs, we do this pincer movement, we pick up our pens, literally everything which we do, we start there. So we tend to find that, or not tend to, we do find that students work through this module very, very quickly. And that's why 15 to 20 minutes, each of these modules. And as I said, based on the Pomodoro technique, so depending on your student, we ask teachers, many students will do all those 5 phrases in one foul swoop, but many will say, well, let's break this down into weekly sessions, etc. So that's really, really important, the basic section, because what we're doing is we're getting the fingers used to moving to those patterns. And because at the end of the day, it's a keyboard and it's just patterns on the keyboard. Once we've actually learned the finger positioning in the basics, we then move to the Just Do It module, which is where we build automaticity. What we're trying to do is to get the student to recognize words by sight so that they don't actually do any decoding. And that is where module 3, the Just Do It, comes into its own. Now, this was only developed over lockdown, and we brought it in about 2.5 years ago. In trials, again, and was originally developed through input from assessors, because they really wanted to cater for students with short memory issues. And we found that it works so well that we trialed it in with the schools, and the teachers now think it's been an absolute game changer for KAZ. So the way it works is we've licensed text-to-speech software for the course, and we've got vocabulary based on the different learning modules in the basics. So challenge 1 has about 600 words vocabulary based on those first 2 modules, dive and read, dunk. Challenge 2 has about 300 words based on the second 2 phrases, and challenge 3 has about 150 words based on introducing that extra, the final extra quiz where we're using the little finger for the X and the Q, etc. So basically, the user will see the word, as you can see here. They will see the word, they will hear the word, and then they'll hear the word spelled. And they'll hear that 3 times against a clock. Now, the clock is set so that even those with the most severe challenges can succeed. But obviously, if your student is unhappy with working on the clock, there is a first module in this challenge section, Just Do It, where there is no clock involved. But for schools, teachers, you can reduce this clock within your admin panel. But please do bear in mind, it's designed in that way. Also, another thing for teachers is you can also upload your own spellings. Now, we've got a new feature which is coming in the next few months, where obviously we've got the year vocabulary, the government based vocabulary for all year groups. So that is going to be added in with all the accents, etc. So that is coming within the next few months. But at the moment, teachers, if you want to, you can zone a vocabulary for all your different students. So it's really quite comprehensive, and it's amazing with doing these challenge modules how it really does build muscle memory. And all results data is all saved for each student so they can see all the history. And obviously, if you have a school's license, you can see this in your admin panel as well. So in all these, let me just go back to this screen here. So in all these first modules, the basics, Just Do It, and the rest where we're teaching the punctuation and shift keys, all we're concentrating on is accuracy. So we're concentrating on getting finger movement. But it's only in the last module, Speed Builder, which is where we're actually building speed alongside with accuracy. So all the learning modules are just that, they're learning. So the neurodivergent edition is designed so you can learn through making mistakes. Obviously, please bear in mind, this is a caveat for the VI edition, because obviously we can't learn through making mistakes, because visually impaired and blind learners need to be notified immediately if they've made a mistake. But in the neurodivergent course, obviously you can make mistakes. However, in the speed building, in all the testing sections, Speed Builder, challenge module, you can only move on to the next word if you've typed it in correctly. Okay, so that is how we enforce muscle memory in the mainstream course. That's pretty much KAZ. That gives you a background of all of KAZ. Just that you're aware, we do have the only national off-qual qualifications available in touch typing, where it actually adds to the learners' education records. It has started to gain traction, and we're pleased to say we've got a number of schools using this exclusively for, I'll be honest with you, for their SEND departments, because when we initially developed the course, we developed it because we had a lot of feedback from schools saying, you know, that a lot of their students leave without any qualifications. So a number of our schools have taken it on because it actually goes onto the learners' education records. We've got very favourable qualification guidelines from Ofqual for the first year or two, where they'll review after that and increase probably the word per minute and accuracy scores. But at the moment, it's set. Level 1 is set to 25 words per minute with a 85% accuracy, and level 2 is 35 minutes with an 85% accuracy. So at the moment, everything's in favour for our RSN learners. Lastly, security. Obviously, this is really key for us. We're members of ICO.org.uk, so we follow all their rules and regulations. All our software, you know, we don't solicit any advertising. There's no solicitation by email or otherwise. However, only administrators, that's those who actually run the courses, will get the occasional email from us and a monthly email giving a rundown on how, you know, any new developments with the course. We do have a free touch typing tournament, which we really is now, it's always been free to enter, but we now make it, give all our schools an automatic entry, because teachers have been, you know, they just don't have the time sometimes to monitor. So, you know, it's all there for them. But obviously from a teacher's point of view, all the data is there in their back office. All our courses are secure, and you can see our privacy data policy on our website. School licenses start from just £75 for a 5-user. We've designed this in such a way so that obviously, you know, we're trying to encourage it for the full school role, or for the whole schools to use. But, you know, we also are not naive to know that, you know, budgets are tight, etc. So we've designed the license in such a way that it can be used just for smaller licenses as well. Please bear in mind that all these licenses are annual, but we also do download licenses as well. And the download have been designed, we deal with a lot of faith schools over here as well as overseas, and they do not allow internet connection. So we have our download files where they can download that to their school laboratories, and that's available as well. And that's pretty much KAZ in a nutshell, just so that you're aware. You know, it really is a fundamental skill that can change lives, and I think that's why hopefully you are all here as well. If you've got any questions, please feel free to get in touch with Sharon or myself, kwene@kaz-type.com, or you're welcome to get in touch via our website. Just so you're aware, we won this award, Teach Secondary, for the best software for 2023. Which was awarded in, I think it was November of 23. So we were really proud of that. And that was for our VI and Specialist edition, which is our SEN edition. So please do bear that in mind. Everything which we develop within KAZ is given free to all our schools. We don't charge any extra for any special development which we do or have done. It's all available in that one package. And that's KAZ. So I've stopped sharing. So hopefully, unfortunately, you're back to seeing me. So, got any questions? I've tried to keep it tight because I know we're in, you know, tight on time. And I want to try and cover everything in that 20-25 minutes, and then open it up for questions. So if you've got any questions, or if you'd like me to show you anything on the course, please just ask.
I was interested to hear that Pearson, you're doing something with Pearson with the exam. I just kind of missed though exactly what it was. So right. Are they you able to use the software in the exam? Is that?
Yeah. So in effect, what it is, Annabelle, we've worked with Ofqual to develop the touch typing qualification. So basically, Pearsons are now going digital with their exams. So they started this year, I believe, with English, and then they're rolling it out to all their other categories. So in effect, all our students, I say all our students, all our SEN students usually will have the ability to take a laptop with them into an exam, or will be able to allow, we'll have that facility. So, from a point of view of our students, it's sensible to equip them with the skill of touch typing, because, it stops the one-word answers, it stops them typing. A lot of students can't, dysgraphia, they can't hold a pen, or they have pain with holding pens. So if they can use the keyboard, use the computer, then, all of a sudden they'll be writing out full answers, as opposed to, just the 1 or 2 word answers. So that's what we're trying to get at with regards to the way digital exams are coming online. It allows our children to give full answers.
Yeah, that's probably a good thing for. I see Maureen is on the call, and Maureen kind of does an exam bit for us, don't you, Maureen?
Hi. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I asked you about this actually last time you did a Thursday 30 for us, because I thought it was a really sort of useful thing. So yeah.
Yeah, no, not being funny. The off-call is really starting to come online now, because from our purposes, we can all dangle a carrot and say to children, you've got to learn this. It'll be a fantastic skill for you to learn. But if we give the carrot at the end of the day of an off-call, certification is probably the best carrot you could ever give, because, it's going to go on their educational record. It's going to be, they're going to get a certificate. And just to quote a lady by the name of Debs, who runs the SEN at Palmerton School, and she said literally these kids, or her kids, once they get that qualification, they're so full of self-esteem, and one of her words to me was, this boy was peacocking around as if he literally won the, and she said it was so joyful, because he was so subdued usually, but the confidence it gave him at a computer was second to none. So predominantly that's why we developed it. We did have a City and Guilds prior to that, but it just wasn't getting the take up, because there was no qualification. You can give a badge, but if there's a qualification, it goes on someone's CV and on their education record. There's nothing better than that, really. So yeah, so please do look into it. If it can help, then that's what it's there for.
Yes, and Keene, you mentioned that you would provide free demos for anybody that would like to try it out as well.
Yep, sure. Yep. So we give you other access to the course, or give you, if you're with a school, give you a school panel where you can test it out and put a few of your kids on, etc. So yeah, so either get in touch with Annabelle for my details, or actually let me just put it into
I'll also put this as a recording up on our website, so I can include just something about that on the recordings page as well.
Sure. Okay, well, I've just dropped my email.
Yeah,
please.
Can I just ask a question?
Sure.
With the qualification, would you happen to know if it carries league table points for schools?
Well, interesting, brilliant question, because we've had several of our schools using it to what's the word now? I think it's actually on our website for value added. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I know Moon Hall yesterday, they've all added it to it's giving them value added. Now I know the level 1 and the 2 have the GCSE equivalents. So level 2 I believe is A to C, and level 1 is I believe D to, but it's all on the back of the certificate, so it's all there. But yeah, so yeah, I mean that's all I can say, Maureen. But definitely it's value added for the schools.
Great. Well, does anybody else have any other questions for Keene while we have got him online, or are we going to have a 1 minute early mark?
Well, if no questions means hopefully I've answered everything.
That sounds great. I wish that it had been around when I did my touch typing course, like many years ago.
not as long ago as myself, Annabelle, so you're lucky there. But yeah, if anyone's got any questions, please feel free to reach out to either Sherilyn or myself, and we'd be more than happy to help.
Fabulous.
And thank you to CENMAC as well for this Thursday 30. Fantastic.
All right, well, I think we might leave it there then. So thanks very much, Keene, and we will hopefully see you again soon.
Likewise. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.